Closed captioning brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Let's send it upstairs now to Howie Rose and Butch Goring for the opening faceoff.
All right, Peter, thank you very much. Islanders in the first of 3 meetings with the Buffalo Sabres this year. They won't see them again until March. And then right at the end of the season, the Islanders will make their only trip to Buffalo this year. But sum it up, Butchie, what are the keys to this one?
Well, for me, it's got to play with a little bit of desperation. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, the Islanders need to win some hockey games, and they need to start right away. And we talked about the lack of skating in games in Chicago and Nashville. And, of course, if you're not skating, you're not going to spend any time in the O-zone. Like Jack Capuano said, not a whole lot of shots. Well, if you get the puck and you're skating and you get it in the offensive zone, well, then good things can happen. Not only from your forwards, Howie, but from your defense.
All right, different looks for the Islanders up front tonight. Bouchard on the left, Nielsen in the middle, Bailey on the right. McDonald and Hamonic the defense. And for Buffalo, taking a hit in the corner from Franz Nielsen is Mark Pysyk, number 3. He's paired on defense with Christian Ehrhoff, number 10. This is Bailey for the Islanders, shooting one off the stick of Cody Hodgson, number 19. Thomas Vanek, number 26, pulls up to the Buffalo line. And they're joined up front by number 9, Steve Ott. And it's Ott at the red line, waiting for help. Pass is too far for Ehrhoff, who jumped up. And now Nielsen back in the Islanders zone.
And number 9 is the captain on the road. Number 26, Vanek, is the captain in the home area.
That's a little different.
Yes, it is.
Tavares moving in. Tavares to Oposo. He's well covered right at the slot. And the pass up the left wing too far for Ott. That will go for an icing, and they'll bring the face-off into Ryan Miller's neighborhood.
And the assistant captain, or one of the assistant captain, is Christian Ehrhoff. He wears it all the time, and of course, Vanek and Ott will trade those particular situations.
Doesn't matter.
No, not really. But somebody's got to be a leader out there. Somebody's got to question the referee once in a while.
There is historical precedent as Thomas Hickey's shot blocked for a team, and a darn good one, winning a couple of Stanley Cups without a captain. The Boston Bruins back in the early 1970s, the great Orr and Esposito teams. They didn't have a captain until Johnny Busick took that job several years after they won their second cup in 3 years.
Maybe
so
nobody wanted the job. I don't want to be a leader here. Let me be the follower. Because those guys were all over the place, as you well know.
You better have a quick step if you're going to follow them. Meantime, they're saying that puck went straight out. And so Thomas Hickey goes into the box, and a penalty coming up to the Islanders here.
Well, you can see on the flip pass, and right away the referees get some help. Thomas Hickey just trying to play it off the glass. Thomas Hickey was on my show yesterday, the Butch Goring radio show. Very interesting guest.
Jeez, what a cheap plug, just a minute and 17 seconds into the game.
Well, he accommodated me. What can I do?
I understand. Just for that, he's in the penalty box. And the Sabres, who have gone 2 out of 25 on the power play, bring it in. Ristolainen, number 55, sends one towards the net, and Nabokov steers aside. Number 82 is Marcus Foligno. That centering pass went beyond the reach of Drew Stafford, number 21. And now Pysyk, number 3, for Ott in the corner. Ristolainen to the slot, but Matt Martin read that. Got a stick on it. Now Pysyk a drive, knocked down in front. It's loose. Stafford couldn't get to it. And it's poked ahead by Cizikas, missed by Martin. It came out of the zone, put back in offside.
Ristolainen couldn't quite get his stick. Right-handed shot had to go to the backhand. And Islanders able to just get it over the blue line, but watch Travis Hamonic in the aggressive play of Nabokov as he gets the skate on it, and now there's a wrestle for the puck. Islanders outnumber the Sabres in front. Big Foligno was in front of the net trying to provide a screen, but the Islanders do a nice job in getting that puck away from the crease and protecting Nabokov.
Islanders penalty killers have allowed just 2 goals against and 13 times shorthanded.
Well, they've done a nice job, and they've been able to keep the opposition to the outside, which is something that you want to do. Force them to shoot outside the dots and then protect the slot area.
Ehrhoff weaves in, but the pass broken up at the line, and that forces the Sabres offside.
Good stick work by Michael Grabner as he gets that stick in the passing lane. Prevents that pass getting from Ehrhoff to Thomas Vanek, who is a terrific goal scorer. You got to be careful where he is.
So Ron Ralston, the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, signed him to the full-time job the end of last season. Remember, he had been the interim coach after Lindy Ruff was let go, and he has resurfaced with the Dallas Stars. So Grabner throws one to the net that's stopped by Miller. 39 to go to the Buffalo power play. Ehrhoff moving to center. Ehrhoff into the Islanders zone, draped by Martin. Tyler Myers, number 57. Scoops it around the boards. Kartner didn't get much on it, but Cizikas got to it before Hodgson, number 19. And Cizikas checked by Hodgson. The pass to the front of the net, gobbled up and cleared by Kartner.
Terrific play by Casey in the corner. Had nowhere to go, was boxed in, just held on and looked for an opening and was able to get it out to his defense partner. Clear the puck down the ice.
Ehrhoff to Flynn. Ryan Flynn scored the only Buffalo goal last night in their home ice loss to the Minnesota Wild. Now the penalty over. Sabres keep the puck. Ehrhoff's shot deflected off the stick of Regensons, number 28, a first-round pick out of Latvia 2 years ago, and Nabokov's got that.
Good save by Nabokov. Again, Islanders did a good job in their own zone. Regan was able to get on Jurgensen very quickly, not allow him to get any kind of time to take a look. Nabokov certainly how he's provided the Islanders with good goaltending early on in the season.
.927 save percentage in 4 games. Tells you how good Ryan Miller's been.
941 save percentage. That's phenomenal.
There's going to be a penalty here coming to Weber for interfering, I believe, with Clutterbuck. And the Islanders are going to get a power play. That's the call, interference. And the Islanders, who allowed 3 shots on the Buffalo power play, which went unsuccessful, will now get one of their own.
Now look at Clutterbuck. He keeps his feet moving, and Weber just gets the stick in between the legs. And that just doesn't happen. And Clutterbuck quits on the play. He stayed with it. He got in on the good hard forecheck. And now the Islanders have a chance to take a lead and really establish the play.
Islanders power play brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Tavares, Molson, Oposo, Nielsen, and Wisnowski are the Islander power play first unit, as the puck is cleared all the way down by Myers, who thought he was slashed, and looks back to the referee for help that he doesn't get.
Islanders had some good look on their power play over the weekend. They weren't very successful, and some key opportunities for them to put a salvage the point.
Good feed to Oposo, a save by Miller. Stafford reverses the puck to the near side. Ott trying to get in front of Tavares, who wouldn't let him. JT wins the puck back to Nielsen. Gets it again. Tavares to Nielsen. Now Wisnowski, one-timer saved by Miller. And it ricochets to the corner. Olsen and Linder get there together. Linder, number 20, back for a second go-around.
Good setup there, Jimmy.
Jimmy will be very appreciative of that. Folks, we have certain buttons up here. That was the talkback that allows Butch to talk to the truck, except he used my talkback. So now everybody knows what a great job Jimmy did. The puck loose in the corner. Kevin Porter, number 12. We believe in full disclosure here. 46 remaining on the power play. It's cinema verite, if you will. McDonald down low. Bouchard stopped. Rebound to Bouchard. That's blocked. Bouchard again. Out to McDonald at the blue line. Now to Bailey. Traffic in front. Slips it back. McDonald's drive missed the net. Half-minute left to the power play. Andrew McDonald played it across. And it's cleared all the way down by Flynn.
No shortage of shots going towards the net. All kinds of opportunities for the Island. Good puck movement, but I like the fact that they didn't hesitate at all to get that puck towards the net.
Miller steers aside Clutterbuck's shot. 10 seconds left to the power play. Bailey tried to connect with Martin, could not. And the Sabres clear. Now each team will have killed off a penalty. The Islanders had 4 shots on that one, as Weber is out of the box and the team's at full strength. Cizikas weaves his way through center. Sends Bolton in. First shift of the year for Eric Bolton, number 36. Clutterbuck put it right through the crease. And the puck sent out of the zone. And now we get a whistle. 14-13 remaining in the first period.
Well, you watch Ryan Miller, very aggressive. He's always a goaltender, likes to play outside his crease there, as you saw the shot by Molson. There's Matt Martin in front again, battling. Lots of help for Martin.
Well, that whistle.
Messick blocking that shot. Too many men on the ice, I think, is what it was, Howie.
It's going to be against the Islanders, and Tavares is going in. So the Sabres will go right back to the power play, where the Islanders called for the bench minor. But here's Nielsen with Grabner, short-handed. Grabner down the middle, couldn't tee it up. Was bouncing on him. Now he'll try to kill some time as Ehrhoff squeezes him to the boards. And Myers recovers the puck, but a weak rim around. Picked off by McDonald. Then Myers made the deflection. It comes back to Grabner. He didn't get anything on the pass. And the Sabres short-handed break to center. Vanek in on right wing against Andrew McDonald. And now Hodgson. And that's broken up.
Good pace early in the game for the Islanders. Good jump. Skating much better than they did over the weekend.
Now Vanek to Myers. Minute 17 to Buffalo's power play. Myers with room. Steps up, fires, and a save made by Nabokov. And he'll hold on with $1:12 to go on the too many men on the ice penalty.
Well, Ehrhoff across over to Myers. A good shot. No one really in front. Islanders did a good job of blocking them off. McDonald and Hamonic blocking the Sabres out, keeping them to the outside. And Nabokov was able to see that puck all the way in. That long shot by Myers.
So from the draw, the puck cleared by Straight. The Islander penalty killers now Cizikas with Martin and Hickey with Straight. Pezic to Ristolainen, number 25. Picked off in a centering feed, sticked away by Nabokov. And now Pezic at the line for Ott. Back to Pezic. He lets one go and missed the net. A big carom, though, covered by Cizikas, and he wheels it all the way down.
Good start to this game for Casey Cizikas. Boy, he's showing lots of patience, lots of poise out there, killing a penalty, not just getting the puck and throwing it aimlessly. How he taking the time to make a good, solid play. He's been able to clear the puck a couple of times with a couple of good passes. So exits for the team to get the puck down the ice.
Mark Pezic, number 3. Up the middle, off of Grabner. Sabres recover. And that shot did not get through, but comes back to Ristolainen. Myers shot it wide. Comes to the near boards, and here's the lead for Grabner against Ristolainen. A backhander went wide. Being chased by Myers as well, but Grabner gets it back. And a save by Myers with help in front from Ristolainen.
What a terrific play by Andrew McDonald. Recognized that Grabner was still in the open position. They chipped in.
Tavares out of the box. The team's at full strength. And now Tavares behind the net. So the Islanders have killed a pair of penalties and had a couple of short-handed chances. McDonald across to Hamonic. That's blocked. And Karam's all the way down, but plenty of time for either Hamonic or McDonald to get there. And it's worked back up to Molson. That goes off the defender, Pezic. And Karam's into the corner. Miller just wanted to clamp his glove on that puck to get a whistle.
Deflected, I think, by Talinder.
Worked around by Pezic. Straight bumps McCormick. Oposo for Tavares. He's pelted from behind.
2-on-1. Well, it takes two guys usually to slow John Tavares down.
And in comes Porter, number 12. Kevin Porter hits the trailer. Big John Scott, number 32. He wheels it in front for McCormick, backhander that was stopped by the defense.
He was all alone. Islanders lost their assignment on that play.
Now Porter looks to sneak out. Banks it back to the blue line to Linder. Cross to Weber. That skips off the side of the net. Partner chopped out a bit there by Scott. And now Straight up the left wing off Cizikas' stick. Maybe an icing here. Have to touch up if it is. And play allowed to continue. Cizikas working in the corner. He's bottled up by Mike Weber, number 6. And that drive is stopped off the stick of Martin by Ryan Miller. And shoving in front of the net doesn't appear destined to amount to anything. So we'll step away. 10:25 remaining. Scoreless first period on the island. Scoreless game here in the first period. Wednesday, October 30th on MSG Network. The Knicks open the season at the Garden against the Milwaukee Bucks. Presented by Chase. Live coverage gets underway with a special 1-hour Visa Knicks game night at 6:30. The Knicks season opener Wednesday, October 30th on MSG. And a very nice tribute to a terrific guy, Rich Macklin, who is leaving after 31 years as one of the off-ice officials here at the Nassau Coliseum. He is retiring. He is going to Florida. He has worked over 1,200 games here in the National Hockey League and has been very involved with hockey in this area seemingly forever. Metropolitan Junior Hockey Association. He was the head coach of the New Hyde Park Arrows. He coached, among others, a fella from Staten Island named Nicky Fatiu, who would make it to the NHL even a little before Joey Mullen did. Centering feed from McDonald to Bailey tipped out of play, and Rich Macklin, a former police officer in New York City, has given so much of his time and his life to hockey, and wonderful man, and we'll all miss him and wish him the very best.
Well, I'll say, Howie, boy, that was quite a tribute you just laid on him. And Josh Bailey in front of the net on the backhand knows that Miller's going to go down, so he's got to tilt that stick to get the puck up just a little bit too high. But congratulations to Rich. Now he's going to retire in Florida. Everybody seems to go to Florida.
Not a bad deal. Ehrhoff just did poke that puck out of the zone. And now McDonald backing up into the Islander end of the ice. 9:53 to go. Scoreless first period. Islanders out shooting the Sabres 9-6. McDonald to Bailey, but that feed didn't connect with Bouchard.
A good gap control by Ehrhoff. Didn't back up too far. Got in between that pass from Bouchard, from Bailey over to Grabner.
And now Tavares in on the left wing. Forced back by Pezic. Slides it to the slot. Oposo keeps working. Gets a backhander on. That was stopped by Miller. Oposo recovers. Missed by Grabner. Backed up by Wisniewski. Now Grabner steps up. Fires. It's blocked. That puck was wobbling a bit as Grabner let it go. It continues to bounce. Brought back in by Grabner. He fires. And that's gloved and held by Ryan Miller. 9:05 remaining in the first period here at the Coliseum with no score. Thursday night on MSG Plus, the Islanders will take on the Edmonton Oilers. Live coverage gets underway at 6:30 with Visa Islanders Game Night. Islanders and Oilers Thursday night on MSG Plus. Thursday Night Hockey is presented by Ram.
Well, good pressure by the Islanders. And you know, who's to say that John Tavares doesn't have an influence? Watch this in between the leg pass. You see John Tavares do all the time. Well, Michael Grabner says, hey, I can do that too. Everybody gets confidence, and we've talked about John Tavares, how he influences the game. Well, there's an perfect example, Howie.
You know, he also talked earlier about the fact that Colin McDonald is not in the Islander lineup tonight because of a left hip injury. There's also a player that the Sabres don't have, and that is Patrick Coletta. He was suspended today for 10 games by the National Hockey League for his hit to the head against Columbus's Jack Johnson. And Coletta's a repeat offender. He got a 5-game suspension late last season, and so as a repeat offender, now it's a 10-game suspension for Coletta. And the Sabres without kind of a grinding, physical, some would say at times dirty player, but a guy who you recognize when he's out there.
Well, you're gonna pay a price. Not only you're not going to play games, it's going to cost you a whole lot of money. But the National Hockey League has got a short leash on guys like Coletta. You know, they keep records, and if you're going to continue to be who you are and take those cheap shots at players, then you're going to sit, and it's going to cost you money, and they'll miss him.
So the face-off now deep in the Buffalo zone. Regan, Molson, and Clutterbuck. Seems odd to see Matt Molson with a centerman other than John Tavares, but there was some success that the Islanders had last year when those two, Tavares and Molson, were broken up in the playoffs by Jack Capuano. And this is a totally different approach from the Islander coach to make these kinds of moves and adjustments this early this year. He seemed very reluctant to do that in season past.
I think, Howie, a lot of it has to do with the depth of the hockey club. They have a lot more talent on the ice than any time they've had for a long time. So I don't think it's as tough a move for the coach to be able to switch his people around. I think he's got 9 forwards who have a lot of talent and can play with anybody.
Polino took a bump there from Brian Strait. And this is Rasmus Ristolainen, number 55. Not yet, although he'll turn 19 years of age later this month. First round pick. 8th pick overall this past June by the Sabres, and right into the lineup. And here he is with a wrist shot that goes wide. He hasn't recorded a point yet He sat last night as the puck goes out of play. Ristolainen did not play in last night's game at home against Minnesota, as Ron Ralston, the Sabres coach, just wanted to get the game that he could watch from upstairs and have a different perspective on it, and at the same time just try to relax a little bit.
Well, he's like any other rookie. You know, it just takes time to feel your oats out there, to have the confidence and the experience. I mean, Thomas Hickey said the same thing, you know. After you play more and more games, you get to recognize the traits of everybody else. You get to recognize the speed of different teams. It just doesn't happen overnight. You know, so Ristolainen is getting an opportunity, and they like him. I mean, he's already had some good moments. They say, well, he's also had some bad moments, so there's a learning curve out there.
Which is about what you expect from someone his age. Sliding hard into the corner was Tyler Ennis, number 65. And now Regan tees one up. That goes off of Ristolainen's stick. Steered to the near boards, where it's grabbed by Johan Larsson, number 22. This part payment from the Minnesota Wild and the Jason Pominville trade. Here's a chance in front. Nabokov actually had to make two saves. One from a deep angle coming out of the corner, and the other on a rebound right out in front. And Nabby saluted by the fans here. Bakov now goes to work behind the net. Connects with Bouchard. There, Mark Bouchard, and now Nielsen in on the left, pulls up, shoots, he scores! What a shot by Franz Nielsen to give the Islanders a 1-0 lead.
A little bit of a toe drag there, Howie, but that play was started by the goaltender, Nabokov. Took his time, waited for somebody to come loose, and then just gets it up. Again, Franz Nielsen, you can see that he's looking at Nabokov, getting him the high five. Thank you very much. But watch Nabokov. There's the quick pass over to Clutterbuck, and then a quick throw over to Franz Nielsen. Watch the toe drag, and then up over the glove. Just a tremendous shot. Man, was that good. Now the line clicks right off the bat.
Well, that's 3 goals in 6 games now. Not even 6 full games. This is the first period of the 6th of those games for Franz Nielsen.
Terrific play. And, I mean, Franz has a good shot, and we've often talked about him, how creative he is and how talented he is. And at the end of the day, he doesn't seem to be able to put up as many points as, you know, his talent would indicate, but he's been good early this year, and nice goal.
Here he feeds Hamonic, who shoots, save, great rebound, Bouchard, he missed. I think he might have grazed the crossbar. Bailey backs it up, he shoots, and Miller's got that. And the Islanders really putting the heat on now, starting with Nielsen's goal. Hickey and Bouchard pick up the assists. And for Pierre-Marc Bouchard, his first point as an Islander.
Watch Franz, you get that little toe drag just to create a little opportunity, and right off the post over the glove of Miller, no real chance. And watch, again, Franz Nielsen, the pass over. Great shot. That shot, I think, hits the crossbar. As Clutterbuck had an opportunity with a good shot.
13-11, the time of Nielsen's goal. And so Pezic for Buffalo steers it around, and look, 1 goal is just that. Only 1 goal, but it can seem pretty big to a Buffalo Sabres team that only averages 1 goal scored per game. Over their first 7 this year, they only have 1 point, and they have been shut out once. They have scored twice in 1 game and been limited to just 1 goal in all the rest of them. So that's a team you want to get a quick jump on and really give them what appears anyway to be a steep hill to climb.
Well, you know that they're not playing with a lot of confidence when you talk about offense.
Ennis drops it to Ehrhoff. His drive is gloved away by Nabokov. Stafford banks it back behind the net, gets a return. Backhand save, Nabokov. He made a second one. And the puck stays along the boards until Kartner gets there.
A couple of big saves off of Stafford by Nabokov. Didn't even see the puck right away. Just had a feeling that Stafford was coming out on his backhand.
Shots are now 15-10 Islanders. And we're just 5 minutes now remaining in the first period. 1-0 New York on Franz Nielsen's goal. Sabres bring it back in. Kevin Porter with a neat drop pass and a good glove save by Nabokov on Zemgus Brigensons. So 4:50 remaining. First period, Islanders up a goal. North Shore LIJ, the official hospital of the New York Islanders. Certainly nothing wrong with their goaltending here in the first period. In particular, Evgeny Nabokov has had to make several good close-in saves, Butch.
Well, he doesn't need a checkup, that's for sure, because there's all points bulletin on him. He's been very, very sharp. Look at this quick pass off the backhand of Stafford. Not one save, but two saves, and that's tough from behind the net. Goaltender doesn't always get an angle of where that puck's coming from, especially when the play is made from right directly behind him, but he just reacts to it, has a gut feeling, what's going to happen. He draws on his experience and makes a couple of real nice saves to preserve that 1-0 lead.
So the Islanders control the draw. Matt Molson scoops it to center. Sabres flood the middle, but Molson's able to chip it in, and Regan gets it towards the corner. Picked off there by the Sabres. And now moving to center, it's Brian Flynn, number 65. Good feed to the corner. Girgensons, number 28, feeds Myers. He shot it wide. Flynn on the rebound, tried to bank it off Nabokov, but he had good control of the post. And so it's Wisnowski swinging it on right wing to Clutterbuck. Couldn't hold it. And Tallinder has it back. Henrik Tallinder played the last 3 years with the New Jersey Devils, but now back with a team with which he came up, and Clutterbuck is hurt behind the play. Puck moves in with Porter carrying to the far side. Clutterbuck now going to the Islander bench as the Islanders regain possession. And the puck sent off the boards and all the way down. No icing. So Miller looking to come out. Doesn't have to. Ehrhoff got there, but Oposo took it from him. Feeds the far boards. Tavares is in with Oposo. Kyle worked it loose. Gave it up to Vanek, though. And Thomas Vanek clears the zone. Clutterbuck being looked at by Matt Bain, the trainer over on the Islander bench. We'll keep an eye on him, too. Hamonic, meanwhile, moves into the zone. Shanks a pass. Looked like he might have been a little indecisive about whether he was going to drop it or go forward with it. And the result is an icing against the Sabres with 3:25 to go in the first. And Clutterbuck taking inventory in his chicklets.
Watch the high stick. There it is as it comes up by Tallinder as he gets his stick up in the face of Clutterbuck. Careless use of the stick. Probably should have been a 2-minute penalty.
Remember in Chicago, John Tavares did his own dentistry.
Yeah.
Right there, Clutterbuck looks to be all right. Sabres about hit the Islanders 7-2 early on. 3:13 to go in the first period. 1-0 New York. Grabner brings it in. Off a Buffalo stick. Oposo centers. Tavares turns. Feeds Grabner. Couldn't get the stick down. Back to Tavares in the corner. John Tavares to Oposo. Grabner is going to have to realize that he's going to get some pucks in areas where he might not be expecting them to land on his tape. That's what happens when you play with John Tavares.
We've heard Matt Molson describe many times you have to be ready when Tavares has the puck because you're never sure, when you're going to get it, and sometimes you think you're never going to get it, but it shows up.
Grabner shoots one that's steered aside by Miller. He's already given up pretty much his quota of goals, or those goals against is a little over 2, but you get the idea. He's been good and his team doesn't score. Foligno in the corner.
16 shots already he's faced.
11 for the Sabres. Ennis behind the net, tries a wraparound off of Nabokov and pinballs towards the corner. Worked back to the blue line. Weber pranked it wide. And now Bouchard for the Islanders sends Nielsen on his way. Bailey on right wing. Looks for the pass. Plays it on his backhand. Pulls up. Then he's taken in by Weber. Puck underneath Bailey. Wound around the boards to the near side. Now Hickey for New York. In behind. And Stafford of the Sabres just throws it off the boards. Driven right back in by Hickey.
Was much more aggressive on the forecheck. You can see the defenseman pinching with a lot more regularity than they did over the weekend.
That goes off the stick of Girgensons. And back behind the Islander net. 1.5 to go in the period. Islanders have Cizikas, Martin, and now Clutterbuck. Eric Boltman skated up there earlier. Flynn back in for the Sabres. Brian Flynn off to Myers. That shot through traffic. Nabokov can't find it. The whistle blows, but Hamonic, I think, got the worst of it. I think that hit.
It looks like the Sabre on the ice.
Okay, the Sabre alongside him. Yeah. Okay, that's Girgensons. Oh, boy.
A little bit of blood took it up in the face area.
Might want to turn away if the blood's too much, because that is really spouting from the around the forehead, I guess.
It looks like it.
Girgensons.
Jurgensen's a first-round pick for the Buffalo Sabres 2012, 14th overall. So from Riga, Latvia, played some games last year in Rochester. There's the shot by Myers. Deflects. It looks to me like off the Islander player and then hits him right in the face. And there's just not much defense when you go to the front of the net. You know, you're trying to battle for position, trying to screen the goaltender, and that puck gets up high. Through a deflection, there's not a whole lot you can do about it if you don't see it.
Especially you're looking down or expecting it to stay down, and then that hits that stick 30-40 feet away, and everything changes. And obviously, Jurgensen off for some repairs. You're talking, Butchie, about him being a first-round pick. Again, you watch the deflection here.
Yeah, that goes off of Matt Martin's. Looks like a stick or a skate, and then straight up in the face area.
Talking about those first-round picks, Sabres have 10 of them on their roster as opposed to 7 for the Islanders. Make sure to stay tuned after the first period for the Ford Intermission Report. Peter will chat with Pierre-Marc Bouchard. First point is a New York Islander. More on Jack Capuano, the leader of the Islanders, behind the bench. And we'll show you highlights of the first period.
Well, everybody's skating well tonight, and Pierre-Marc Bouchard, that's one of his fortes. That's what he does best. He will tell you that he's a terrific skater, good playmaker, heady hockey player. Happy to get his first point.
Well, maintenance crew has cleaned up the blood on the ice, and puck now back in the Buffalo zone as we come down to the final minute of this first period. Still no whistle with that puck underneath. Officials want him to play it. It's Sherrod and Chris Lee, the referees.
A little bit of a hold there on Matt Martin by Myers. The referees choose to let it go.
Sherrod was the referee closest to it. Lee was out in the neutral zone. And now Martin. Up now for Eric Bolton, number 36. And he steers it in. Bolton, as much as anything, apart from the fact that Colin McDonald is hurt, there's no call on a drive that Cizikas attempted to the net. And now Straight puts it in before Cizikas can get out. Oposo and Grabner now back in onside with 16 seconds remaining in the period.
It looked like Toledo got away with one. Tripping Casey Cizikas.
Hot into the zone. Sets up Vanek. And that one-timer lands in the corner. Comes back to Nabokov. He'll hold on as the horn sounds. He actually squeezed that puck with about a second to go, but it runs off the clock, and that's going to be that. Islanders with a 1-0 lead on a Frans Nielsen goal. Period that saw the Islanders outshoot the Sabres 16-11. So our Ford Intermission Report is straight ahead. Peter will chat with Pierre-Marc Bouchard and a whole lot more up next. Getting set for the second period with the Islanders up 1-0. Our Cadillac trivia question tonight takes us back to 1999 when the Sabres struck gold, really, when they picked up Ryan Miller in the 5th round of that year's draft. The Islanders had the 5th overall pick back in 1999. Do you remember who they took? Well, you think about that. We'll have the answer for you a little later.
I think I was coaching at that time, Howie.
I believe you were. That was your first year as coach, 99-2000. So there's a little bit of a hint if you want to connect some dots. But as the second period begins, it's Nielsen, Bouchard, and Bailey. And back to break up the pass for Buffalo. Cody Hodgson, number 19. He's a former first-round pick. He was selected 10th overall back in 2008. Former Vancouver Canuck. And he plays it into the corner. Bouchard cuts it off. That goes off a Buffalo stick. Sabres get it back. Look to attack, but the pass to Vanek a little too far. And this is going to go for an icing. So they'll bring the face-off deep into the Islanders zone. 37 seconds into the period. What do you think of Capuano's line combinations and which ones clicked and which ones still need some time?
Well, you know what? I thought they all went pretty well there. One thing that the Islanders were doing is they were skating. You could feel that there was a renewed energy, and that happens sometimes when you shuffle the lines a little bit. I thought everybody played well. I liked what Grabner was doing with John Tavares. Had good jump.
Now Foligno, number 82 in the corner. And long-time Buffalo Sabre, Mike Foligno. Myers works it down the board. Nielsen batting away with it against Ennis. Comes back to Myers. That one scoots off the glove of Nabokov. Ennis tried to feed the slot. That hit his stick. McDonald back on it. Knocked off balance. Puck stays in behind the net. Hamonic, good bump there with Stafford. Drew Stafford, number 21. Back to Myers. He tees it up. Shoots through a screen. Nabokov a save. But back in front by Ennis. And the Sabres now winning the loose pucks, and the fans growing impatient. Foligno scooting along the blue line. Marcus Foligno taking it behind the net. The Islander line's been on for about 1 minute and 40 seconds now, the entirety of this second period to this point. And here's Stafford emerging with it. Out to Myers, throws it down low, nobody home.
A lot of ozone time for the Buffalo Sabres, but I like what the Islanders are doing from a defensive side, Howie, is they really haven't given the Sabres much. A little screen shot from the Nabokov handled. That was the only dangerous play.
And a 2-on-1 develops. Bouchard looking for Bailey, broken up. Bailey gets it back. Drop pass for Wisnowski, and he backhands one off the blocker, and then Bailey shot it wide. He had Ryan Miller down after Miller made the initial stop.
Bouchard and Bailey both have been out a long time. Didn't have a lot of energy left, as you mentioned, Howie. Spent an awful lot of time in their own zone.
Now Grabner put it in front, broken up. Remember the longer change here in the second period too. Ott carries in. Ott looking to the front of the net. That caromed off the post and then off the Nabokov all the way to Pezic, whose drive is blocked. Pezic again feeds it behind the net. Brian Flynn, number 65 for Buffalo. Worked over by Wisnowski. Hickey steps in front of Ott. Pezic at the line. Up high to Larson. High is the shot as well off of Nabokov. And here's a quick lead from Okposo for Tavares that didn't get there. But now Tavares on the loose puck. Get over the Buffalo line. Tavares pulls up. He shoots. And the save by Miller. He juggles. And only now will he get the whistle.
Matt Molson looking for that rebound off that John Tavares shot. So that line looks like it might be united, at least for a little bit of a shift. Here's the 2-on-1. Here's John Tavares with the opportunity. Shoots it high. Miller makes the save, and there's Kyle Okposo and Matt Wilson going to the net. Look at the Sabre change right at the top of your screen. Well, that creates a 2-on-1 opportunity with Bouchard and Bailey, and it's just deflected a little bit by Myers, just enough to prevent that one-timer from Bailey. The Islanders continue on as Wisnowski gets the shot in front of the net, but good play by Myers using that long reach of his, Howie, to prevent what would have been a golden opportunity for Josh Bailey.
And he is big. Tyler Myers, 6 feet 8 inches tall.
We're hoping he recaptures that Calder year. Voted the best young rookie in the National Hockey League.
Islanders off the turnover. Martin's shot carries out of play. So 3.5 gone here in the second period. And the faceoff will stay deep in the Buffalo zone.
Remember, Buffalo did play last night, losing at home to Minnesota, so it seems like they now needed a period just to find their legs, because the start of the second period has been much better for them than the first.
The way things have gone for them, it pretty much figured who would get the game-winning goal for Minnesota. Straight drives it wide. Tell you about that in a moment as the Islanders look to pressure here. Casey Cizikas. Now Bolton. And that's stopped by Ryan Miller. But remember, Jason Pominville, longtime Sabre. A little dust up here. Doesn't appear that that's going to amount to anything. But Pominville went to the Minnesota Wild over the summer. The deal that also brought Johan Larsson, who's playing in this game, to the Sabres. And it was Pominville who broke a 1-1 tie last night, got the game-winning goal for Minnesota in Buffalo.
Yeah, guys like to play against their old teams. They always want to show them that they made a mistake, and they want to come back and haunt them a little bit. Just to take that one step further, I asked Thomas Hickey if he had the date circled when they goes back to L.A., and he said, "You bet I do." So guys remember, what happened to them in the past.
Pominville, by the way, scored a goal tonight for Minnesota in Toronto. Remember your first one back in L.A. as an
Absolutely,
Islander?
yeah.
In the playoffs?
That was a playoff.
Yep.
Got a goal and assist, too.
Thought I'd lead you gently into
thank you
that.
very much. And I was still angry, too, Howie.
I figured you'd jump all over that 1-1. Here's Hamonic. Checked by Vanek in the corner.
players don't like to get traded for the most part. You enjoy being where you are. You
Yeah,
like
sure
your
worked out
teammates.
terribly for you, didn't it?
Yeah, I know. But
Letterbuck around to the far side. That's understandable. Icing coming up here.
well, it's, when you play, you feel like you can't be replaced, even though you might be on the third line or the fourth line. I mean, you have your own ego to deal with, and then if they trade you, it's kind of a bit of a blow to your ego. So it's, okay, wait till I get back, and I'll show you guys type of attitude. And so little wonder that Pominville played a very strong game. And Thomas Hickey, I can hardly wait to watch him play in L.A. because he was very adamant about that game.
We're going there when? Early December, I believe, right?
Are you making that trip?
Yes.
Okay.
California.
Oh, yeah. What am I thinking?
Big in California. Friends all over the state. Got to see where you used to surf also. That's right, kids. Butch Goring, surfer, back at his L.A. Kings days. We're looking for film. The best we may be able to do is reenact. Off the draw, Molson lost his stick. Islanders moving up. Regan steers it in.
I think he blocked the shot with a stick, as we've so often seen, Howie, when you do that, your stick breaks.
Vanek trying to reach it, too far for him. Hamonic drives it right back in. And the Islanders changing on the move. Little touch feed there from Vanek to Ott. Quick shot, pad save. Made by Nabokov. Left a big rebound, but the Islanders attack. 3-on-2 potentially. Tavares brings it in. Drops it for McDonald. He fans. Backed up by Hamonic, though. Islanders did get the 3-on-2 and a pretty good pass, but Hamonic just missed it. And in come the Sabres. Quick shot by Stafford. Save, and he missed the rebound. Nabokov got the first one. The net was yawning, and Stafford missed the net.
Yeah, he was a little bit off balance going forward. He'd like to have that one back. Wants the mulligan, but good save, good aggressive save. Again, Nabokov continues to get out in the top of his crease.
Ehrhoff bounces one, and Nabokov thought he had it. He doesn't. The Sabres pound it in. A tie game, 1-1. In the end, it might well have been Ennis who was able to bat it home. Nabokov wasn't sure. That's why he froze the way he did.
Yeah, it was a crazy bounce. Ehrhoff, I believe, just throws it in front of the net. Watch the Islanders, the Sabres floating it back, and watch Christian Ehrhoff. He's just going to throw it on his backhand. Bounces crazily off everybody. Nabokov thinks he's got it. He knows it went 5-hole because he just pinballed off everybody else, but it sneaks his way through. That little puck there. Travis Hamonic can't get there quick enough, and you're right. The little guy, Ennis, gets in there and taps in the layup.
So Ennis, one of those 10 first-round picks on Buffalo's roster, converts for his first goal, his first point of the year. And it is 1-1 here at the Coliseum. Remember that 3-on-2 the Islanders missed just a few seconds before Buffalo tied the game.
Yeah, so often that happens, Howie, where you have a chance you miss and the opposition comes down and scores.
Hickey with a shot, and that's juggled by Miller, but he's able to gather it in, and there's no further play. So the goals come so hard for Buffalo, and even there is an example, Butch.
Well, it just caromed off so many different players in front there. You see McDonald out there and Travis Hamonic along with Vanek. He was in front of the net, and it just, a good bounce and just go to the net, sniff yourself a loose puck, and that's exactly what happened.
Nabokov thought he had it somewhere in the pads. That's why he didn't want to move for fear of loosening the puck. He didn't realize it was flat in the paint right behind him. So the Sabres back in. Nudged away from the oncoming Larson by Nabokov. And kept alive at the blue line now by Ristolainen. Ott working out of the corner. And it's from Stafford and Ehrhoff at 5:24 to tie the game 1-1. And Bailey scoops it up the left side. Brought in by Nielsen. He's got the Islander goal. Sets up Bailey. He shoots. Block. Rebound. Bailey saved by Miller. Now Bouchard behind the net.
Nice block by Weber on that Bailey opportunity.
Stick blocked by Larson there. The puck remains loose with the net fastened back on. Peter Regan across to Bailey. Now Bailey drifts back. Feeds Kartner. That hit a Sabre. And bounds into the corner. Recovered by Regan. Up now to Bouchard. Regan again. Trying to remember, have we seen Clutterbuck since he took that high stick in the mouth in the first period?
No, I haven't seen him back out.
Molson a high drive. Remember, Clutterbuck started this game with Regan and
Here he is
Molson.
now, Howie. He's back on the ice now. He might have taken some stitches.
Here's Clutterbuck moving through center. Now for Molson. Molson closing in. The pass behind Clutterbuck. And then Regan take it in hard. And the puck recovered by a double-team Pezic. He turns it over to Molson. Pezic shoving at Molson. Regan recovers the puck. Checked by Porter. Martin helps out. Martin to Molson. Looking for Regan. Too far. Recovered by Cody McCormick, number 8. Hits the red line. Nudges one along from big plotting John Scott. He gets there with Hamonic. Straight back for the Islanders. With Hamonic. Straight softly up the board. Cizikas got it. And Martin finally controls and banks one. On right wing to Bolton. Eric Bolton put it in front. And it was missed partially and then put home. And the Islanders regain the lead. It's 2-1 New York.
Well, big score for the fourth line as Casey Cizikas is going to stay with it. A beautiful play by Bolton as he goes down the wing. Gets the puck to Casey Cizikas. He couldn't handle the pass. It bounced on him, but he stayed with it. Picked up the loose puck. Wes Bolton's got his head up. Tries to get it to Cizikas. Couldn't finish it, but stayed with the play. And Matt Martin just handles himself. Stops in front of the net and makes absolutely no mistake about it. As he's dumped on his rear end by Scott, but that's too little. That's too late. Great play by the fourth line for the Islanders and a huge goal for him.
So it is a 2-1 Islander lead. 2:44 after the tying goal, but now the Islanders going to get a penalty here. The late penalty coming up as they take possession, and after the Islanders go in front, looks like a high stick is going to send Buffalo to the power play. John Tavares, the guilty party, heads in with 11:39 to go, second period.
11:39 of the second period, and the Islanders lead 2-1. Yeah, that's John Tavares in the penalty box. But watch this play as he's fighting with Polino for the puck. Again, we'll get a second look at this. This should have been an interference call. Watch this. That's interference. John loses his balance, and then his stick comes up. Well, that shouldn't have been a high sticking penalty. It's tough to control your stick when you're knocked off balance. That should have been a 2-minute interference penalty, Howie. John Tavares is on the wrong end of that deal.
And so at 8:21, a high stick on Tavares sends Buffalo to the third power play. They're 0 for 2 with 4 shots. The Islander goal read Martin's first from Cizikas and Bolton at 8:08. But now the Islanders shorthanded for the third time.
Talk about gap control. Michael Grabner closes his gap with the defenseman for the Sabres so quickly. Myers is wondering where that buzz came from. That was Michael all over his case.
Here comes Ehrhoff. Hodgson reaching back for the pass on his off wing. And Ehrhoff chops one that's knocked down by Andrew MacDonald, and he clears all the way down.
Andrew MacDonald has great hand-eye coordination. Watched him in a drill yesterday, deflecting pucks from the blue line. He was standing in front of his net. He was knocking him down as good as any forward.
Sabres carry in 1:11 to their power play. Vanek plays it across. Myers reaches back, sets up Ehrhoff. Hodgson down low, they score. Beautiful centering feed, and Thomas Vanek puts home a power play goal, and the Sabres tie it 2-2.
It was just a terrific play by the Buffalo Sabres. Been able to move the Islanders around a little bit, catch him out of position. Travis Hamonic elected to leave Vanek alone, all in front. Here's the pass to Hodgson, a quick pass. Nobody in front watching Thomas Vanek. Again, watch Travis Hamonic out at the dot. He's right in here. He's got to get back there to pick up Vanek. Great play, and no chance for Nabokov, as that is a perfectly positioned play. Perfect deflection by Thomas Vanek. Well, that's why he's a goal scorer. Give him a chance. He isn't going to miss.
And for only the second time in their first 8 games this year, the Buffalo Sabres have scored more than 1 goal. It's Vanek, 1:12 after the Sabres got the Islanders got the 2-1 goal. Vanek ties it on the power play.
A pretty nice pass by Hodgson, too.
Hot with a shot. That's kicked out by Nabokov. Centering feed Duat. A drop for Larson. Swallowed up nicely by Nielsen. Down the boards, though, comes Pezic. He put it right in front. Ott slams away. Nabokov got the first one, and the second one didn't get back to him. But now the Sabres buzzing after tying the game for the second time.
With desperation on both teams' part. Islanders with sliding, blocking shots. Franz Nielsen, terrific job in his own zone.
Nice move, Wisnowski. He's surrounded and finally turns it over. Sabres can't get a rush started, though. 9:51 to go, second period of a 2-2 game. Shots are 23-20 Islanders. They were 16-11 at the end of one. Stafford turning on Regan. Stafford tries the other side. Can't shake loose of Regan, but he feeds Ennis. That puck skips into the corner. Jumping on it is Foligno against Wisnowski. Stafford drops it. Foligno does so as well. Weber shoots, and that's held by Nabokov. And with the Sabres now getting a lot of pressure, there'll be a face-off in the Islanders zone. 9:18 remaining, second period on the island. Well, I mentioned the Islanders are beginning a 4-game homestand here with a chance to pile up some points. Buffalo, of course, tonight. The Oilers come in Thursday night. Saturday night, the Carolina Hurricanes will make their first visit to the island this year, and the Vancouver Canucks. And their only trip east, at least to the Coliseum, will be here a week from tonight with John Tortorella and Roberto Luongo. Who expected Luongo to wind up back as the #1 guy there? Not a whole lot of people.
No, they thought they'd probably be keeping Snyder, and Luongo might end up in Florida or Toronto.
Tough contract to move, as they found out.
Impossible to move.
Yep. And right here in this 2-2 game, Nielsen for the Islanders. Brings it in. Bailey tried to get it back. Bouchard shot it wide. Good setup. Bouchard missed the net. They work in the corner. Nielsen trying to dig it loose. Bailey was knocked down there by Vanek, and Thomas Vanek comes to center. Now in on left wing, lost it to a Hamonic stick check. Weber throws it back into the Islanders zone as the Sabres tag up. And it's Hamonic moving out of the Islander end of the ice. Moving well into the Buffalo zone. Quick shot, save Miller. And it caroms out of play. Good rush by Travis Hamonic.
Well, we're seeing more and more of that as the season progresses. He talked about in the offseason, wanted to bring more offense, wanted to get up the ice a few more times. He's got a great shot, and he's a terrific skater. Good quick release, forcing Ryan Miller to make a nice save. But Travis Hamonic wants to be that complete player, not just a good, solid defenseman that plays tough and can shut down people. He wants to bring offense to his game, and he's doing that better and better as time goes by.
Now from the draw, the Sabres control. The Islanders have the Tavares line on. Buffalo with Porter, Larson, right now anyway, and Flynn. Myers, the defenseman, back, put it out in front to the Islanders, and that's broken up. Oposo recovers, though. He stripped Porter of it. Oposo behind the net. Oposo staying strong on the puck, pushing it back to the blue line to Wisnowski. Down now to Tavares. Nice feed. Wisnowski put it right out in front, missed by Oposo. What a pass by John Tavares.
Well, you're talking about having an awareness of where everybody is. John Tavares never ceases to amaze anybody. That looked like a little bit of a dive for me by Larson.
Larson was headed towards the bench anyway, so he figured, what the heck.
Might as well slide a little.
In comes Wisnowski, sets up Oposo, and that one changed direction. Winds up back in front. Grabner shoots, blocked by the chest of Miller, and backhanded softly into the corner by Talinder.
Good job by Talinder in front of the net. He was strong on the stick. Kyle Oposo and Grabner had an opportunity to get the puck, but Talinder just basically was stronger down low.
And the Sabres have also off the icing here. They've had to compensate for Zemgus Girgensons not returning to the game since being cut in the first period.
Well, he's probably getting some stitches, and they'll have a close look at him, make sure that everything is okay. Whenever you take a puck around the head, Howie, you talked about concussion problems, and they got to look at it.
And a timeout being called here. Timeout called by the Islanders.
Probably by the Buffalo Sabres, I would think, because they've been out there a while, that line. So want to give them a little rest. The Islanders were able to change their forwards.
Sunday on MSG, the first place Red Bulls take on the Houston Dynamo. Live coverage gets underway with Red Bulls game night at 3:30. Red Bulls Soccer Sunday on MSG Network. So Ron Ralston talking things over on his end of the bench.
I often wonder, Howie, when you're getting ready for a face-off, and these guys are in such wonderful shape. I just, can you be that winded I mean, we never went through that as a player, you know, these type of situations where you played. You kind of delayed a little bit if you could at the face-off. You took a couple of deep breaths and you found your way to get through it. And, you know, now coaches use their timeouts for, you know, to give their team a rest because they feel like, you know, they're so tired that they can't handle the next whatever time it's going to be. And,
well, think of when you played, even towards the end of your career, your average shift would have been what?
Probably about 45 seconds, somewhere in that area.
They seem to be even shorter now.
Well, they like them about 30 to 35 seconds. And, you know, that the game has changed where, you know, you're not as much checking in the neutral zone.
Foligno carries in.
There's a lot of skating involved in today's game.
Now Wisnowski exchanges with Molson. This is Molson to Wisnowski. Long drive, missed the net. Carry him to the sideboards. Clutterbuck forcing it back towards the corner. Just try to get a forecheck going there, but can't. And the puck sent out to center. Kuckner plays it across to Brian Straight. 6:40 to go here in the second period. Game tied at 2. Shots are 27-21 Islanders. Long fling up the right wing and a pass for Ennis too far. Kuckner back to nudge it along, and on comes Nielsen. He just bounces one in. Pezic turns against Bailey. Hodgson in trouble, gave it away. Nielsen flung it wide.
With as much speed as this line has, you want to chip the puck in. You're going to win a lot of races.
Josh Bailey back for Kuckner. Now to Bouchard. Nielsen centered a hard feed that Bailey couldn't convert. Brian Straight, long drive, snatched out of the air by the catching glove of Ryan Miller. So we'll step away. 5:59 remaining. Second period on the island. All even, 2-2 with just under 6 minutes remaining in the second period, after which Matt Martin will visit with Peter Rutgazer in our intermission report. We'll take you around the National Hockey League, show you what else is going on a busy night with 12 games scheduled tonight. So show you highlights of the second period here.
Well, it's good to see Matt Martin score a goal. He's really a dedicated athlete. I watch him on the off days. He do a lot of core work, and you know his focus is always about checking. And you want to get rewarded for your hard work once in a while.
There's a shot out of the corner from Hamonic, and a Bouchard deflection is held by Ryan Miller.
Good face-off win for the Islanders, and then Bouchard goes right to the net after Frans Nielsen wins that draw. Travis Hamonic on his forehand, playing his offside. They're looking for the one-time play here.
Hodgson struggled on face-offs last night, struggles again tonight. 1 out of 9 on the draws in this game.
Travis Hamonic taking it right to the net and cutting in front, not being intimidated at all.
Travis been kind of frisky in this period in particular. Puck sent all the way down, but no icing, and so McDonald swings it the other way for Hamonic. 5:29 to go in the second. Up comes Amac. Feeds the left wing to Bailey. He pulls up. Got the shot through. It was stopped by Miller. Out there, Josh Bailey coming down his normal side, the left wing. But again, he's been playing a lot of right wing early part of this season. Vanek tried to set up Hodgson, breaking to the net. Couldn't get it there. Islanders go the other way. Here's Oposo with Grabner. Now to Tavares, and went behind JT. And up. They'll throw it to the near side.
That was a 3-on-2 opportunity, and you know sometimes you get a little bit too fancy. Instead of making just a simple, easy play, you've got that 3-on-2.
A couple of 3-on-2s have been missed by the Islanders in the second period.
No shots on net. We always talk about it, how he never a bad play to shoot the puck.
Well, Tavares tried to make a move inside Ennis, wouldn't let him. Tavares gets it back, then gives it away under pressure. As Ennis tried to nudge it ahead, Tavares picks it off. But Oposo's pass intercepted. A lead for Foligno. He would have been in alone, except for the puck. And now Foligno's got to chase it in the area behind the net, but he had 20 feet on everybody. Ehrhoff lines up a drive, and that goes wide. Big ricochet. Battle going on in front of the net. Nabokov kicks off the drive from Ehrhoff.
Yeah, Tavares and Foligno, and that might be from earlier on when we talked about that penalty call.
Ehrhoff's shot was tipped right around the hash marks and carries out of play.
And they're still nattering at one another. So often, you practice those 3-on-2s and every day, and you shoot the puck a lot. But watch John Tavares. There's the hit on Foligno as he knocks him over. And you can see that John Tavares is going after him. He's not happy. Probably lucky that he didn't get a penalty. But again, I talked about that non-call earlier on, that John Tavares was in the box when they scored that game-tying goal.
If you didn't know better, knowing the kind of player Tavares is, you'd almost think that he was challenging Foligno to drop the gloves there.
Well, I don't know if John ever had a fight in junior hockey. Now Scott's out there, and he's flexing his muscle a little bit with Matt Martin. I'm not sure if Matt Martin wants to tangle with Scott. I mean, Matt Martin will fight anybody, but that is a big individual. That's a tugboat out there.
Look
at this. Look at this. Now Martin is ready to go at Weber. He's not happy. Here we go.
It's going to be Bolton and Cody McCormick. So McCormick tries a right uppercut that may have grazed Bolton, but not a whole lot more than that. And Bolton is able to tie up McCormick, and that's going to take care of that as far as the fisticuffs go.
Yeah, it's not the first time that McCormick has fought, so both coaches, I guess, decided to get some combatants out there, maybe change the complexity of this game or just settle it down a little bit.
I think all it did was just get McCormick and Bolton back to their respective rooms.
A little earlier than normal.
You know, the game had its little chippy periods, and it had its feisty moments, as we saw just before those two went, but they don't get on the ice a whole lot, so they figure they might as well make something of their time out there.
Well, I think when you, as a coach, when you see some things going on, you saw John Tavares challenging Foligno, and then you saw Scott challenging Martin. So you don't want to get things out of hand. So send two guys out there that aren't going to just talk. They're going to get at it. It's a good match, and away they went.
So the draw will be outside the Buffalo line, but then Clutterbuck shoved to the ice by Scott. And the referee, Francis Charon, is just instructing those involved in the face-off.
Well, Clutterbuck's an agitator. He'll get in his face, Scotty. I don't think he's going to fight him because that is a mismatch, but he's going to try to aggravate him a little bit.
It looked like Scott just threw him down, then he gave him a shove off the face-off, and the puck winds up along the far boards and sent out of the zone.
Now we got a little intensity now, Howie. Just what we needed. That's all. Pick the pace up. Get a little angry out there.
And you can hear the crowd are in sort of an anticipatory mood now, expecting a fight any minute.
And Clutterbuck just hit Scott from behind, so the battle's within the battles now, Howie.
Big hit on Weber by Clutterbuck. And now Weber in the corner with 3:15 to go in the second. This is going to be an icing, and they'll bring it back into the Buffalo zone.
Well, the fans are definitely more into it. Now there's partners talking to Scott. No, those are a couple of heavyweights. And you're right, Howie, the fans are into it. They've been actually pretty quiet for most of the game, but now there's a little buzz going on.
I think Scott and Corkner are both going to go. The officials don't want any more to develop, at least in the short term here. And since there was an incendiary field of things over the last couple of minutes, they'll try and temper that by sitting Scott. And I think Corkner as well. The crowd doesn't recognize it yet, but now Corkner will go in.
Yeah, they're both giving each other a little lip action out there and a little pushing and shoving. But Clutterbuck started it all. Watch him as he comes in. He doesn't mind hitting anybody, and not always in the proper side. I'm not sure that's what you want to do, but he's a big guy. But he's an agitator. He's a physical guy. I mentioned before that Matt Martin and Clutterbuck were 1-2 in the National Hockey League in hits last year. So these guys don't mind the physical play.
Clutterbuck was telling his old junior teammate John Tavares how to handle that thing with Foligno there. Because Clutterbuck has dropped the gloves plenty. You know, look for Tavares to do it, and I don't know if John even had that on his mind, but it almost appeared that he was ready to challenge him.
Yeah, he really was. He was angry, like I said, at that hit by Foligno earlier on. But as a coach, you don't want John Tavares fighting. You need him on the ice. You don't want him to break a hand or hurt a shoulder in a tussle.
So this is a 4-on-4 now off those roughing minors to Scott and Corkner. And the Sabres, Myers trying to control a puck that frankly has been bouncing around all night.
Guys have been trying to find a handle on a lot of plays, the 3-on-2s, the 2-on-1s.
And Bailey with a quick up. Myers thought about gathering it in, couldn't reach it, so McDonald drops it for Nielsen. Runs Nielsen into the corner, checked there by Talinder. Ott trying to dig it loose as well for Buffalo. But Nielsen Swings it back towards the blue line. Kept in by McDonald. Nice play. Andrew McDonald elevated one to Nielsen. Now for Bailey. And a 10 to the 4-on-4. Josh Bailey forced to the line. Got a little pick. Has room. Nice move. Bailey backhands it in front. It's covered by a pair of Sabres. Larson, who's got the puck, and Ott was there too, both forwards. And Wisniewski now up the left wing to Tavares. John Tavares softly to Hickey. He fires. Save made. And the rebound missed by Tavares. Sabres can't start a rush right away. Hodgkin's got to peel back into his own zone.
Hickey looking for Bailey in front, and Bailey did get a part of it.
Now Hodgson thought about a shot. Feeds the slot, broken up by Tavares, recovered by Ehrhoff. He drilled it wide. Vanek recovers, put it out in front, taken there by Grabner. He turns on the Jets. Grabner down the right wing into the Buffalo zone. Pulls up, centers. Tavares forced back, holds onto it. Now JT drifts back. Wisniewski missed the pass. And Thomas Vanek by himself just throws one off the inboards. And Nabokov's going to have to hold onto it. There'll be a face-off in the Islanders zone with 8 seconds remaining on the Miners to Kartner and Scott.
I don't think Nabokov liked the pace of that game. There are too many opportunities coming in his direction. He just said, you know what, I'm just going to slow this down just a little bit. Everybody catch their breath. You know, the players love to go up and down and create those opportunities, but the goaltenders, they're not too big in that scenario. They want things just keep the puck to the outside, slow it down just a hair.
Yeah, the coaches don't love it either.
No,
but
they don't. Well, only if you score. When it's going one way,
right,
you're happy. You want your defense jumping up. And, you know, when you give up a 2-on-1 going back the other direction, no, then you're not too thrilled with your defenseman jumping up on the play. It's a catch-22.
Well, it is about entertainment, right?
It is.
So we're fine with the up and down pace, even if it doesn't necessarily fit the coach's agenda. Now Stafford up for Foligno. Final minute of the period. Marcus Foligno overskated the puck and kind of mishandled it all at the same time. And again, that puck's been wobbling around on this ice surface quite a bit tonight.
Yeah, I think Andrew McDonald had something to do with that with Foligno too.
Reagan tries a shot that was blocked somewhat unknowingly by Weber. Comes back to Hamonic. At the very least, Weber didn't know where it wound up. And now a backhander by Regan, stopped in front. And scooting ahead is Ennis.
Oh, I missed a golden opportunity to give it to Wisniewski. Regan had a good play to go to the net.
So here's Foligno playing it across, and Ennis had a chance, but it hopped over his stick. Back the other way comes Oposo. Into the Buffalo zone. The pass went behind Molson. And the Sabres turn it back up. Stafford for a Larson. And then Stafford looks for Ennis. He throws one to Nabokov. He's got that side of the net sealed off. Final 9 seconds of the period. Nielsen ahead. Missed everybody. It carries straight through, and Miller will put the glove on it with 1.6 remaining in the second period of a 2-2 game.
Well, I'm kind of surprised Ryan Miller just shuffled that into the corner. Now he's giving the Islanders an offensive faceoff. Wonder if they'll pull Nabokov with 1.6 seconds.
Well, what would you do? There's no way Buffalo's going to score from there in a second and a half. Would you pull him?
Yeah, you should pull him because you're right. Because you've got the 6 guys. You can tie up everybody. The puck's going back in there. There's going to be pressure. It'd have to be an incredibly unlucky play for that puck to end up in the net.
But doesn't happen. Instead, Ott simply draws it back, and the period ends in a 2-2 tie. Shots are 32-24 for the Islanders. It was 16-11 and the end of one, and 16-13 Islanders in the second. So a lot of similarities, not only on the scoreboard, but to the flow of this game. Both teams have had segments where they've looked as though they were about to take charge of it, but never have been able to completely clamp down on it. Just as Nabokov couldn't clamp down on that one. Martin put the Islanders ahead. Vanek on a power play evened it up 2-2 in the end of 2. Back here in the Coliseum, that all adds up to the Sabres 2, the Islanders 2, as we get set for Pretty important third period for the Islanders. Now, let's keep it in context. This is the Islanders' 6th game of the year, so to call it important has to be placed in a specific context. It's only with this 4-game homestand and the Islanders looking for some consistency, a chance to establish a little bit of a foothold against the rest of the team, certainly in the Metropolitan Division, and that's what makes this pretty important third period. But first, we've got a little handiwork to do. We've got to look back to our Cadillac trivia question, and the man the Islanders picked 5th overall the year that Ryan Miller was a 5th-round pick of the Sabres is a guy that was coached by Butch Goring when this fellow was an 18-year-old back in 1999, and that is Tim Connolly.
Yeah, and he played very well for me. You're right, Howie. 18 years old, trying to learn his trade, on-the-job training. Had magic hands, had a nice career with the Islanders and with the Buffalo Sabres, played with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
A career compromised, sadly, because of repeated injuries, most notably some concussions. And I wonder if there was a whole lot more that Tim Connolly might have been able to accomplish in the NHL, given the raw skill that he had.
We marveled at his hands and his hockey sense, certainly when he was a youngster as an 18, 19-year-old. Just talking about the third period, Howie, the Buffalo Sabres have not had the lead in the entire season yet. They certainly would love to get in front now, with the Islanders looking for themselves to find a way to win this game. You're right, it's not the end of the world if they don't win this game, but they really need to establish some kind of superiority at home. Last year, not winning at home, not having a very good home record, put them in a tough position for most of the season.
And the Sabres just do keep that in at the blue line as Ehrhoff got it to Pezic, and a centering feed for Roy behind Vanek. He whacks at it. It stays out courtesy of Nabokov. And Ehrhoff, a hard feed down low to Hodgson. He is stepped in front of by Hamonic. And Bailey takes the puck. Remember, the Buffalo Sabres have never gone the first 8 games of a season since coming into the NHL in 70-71 without a win. They're 0-6-1. This is their 8th game, and here's Bailey shooting one wide. Tavares looking for the trailer. Hickey, he took a bump now. Roy, or at least Ott, trying to poke the puck up the boards. Couldn't do it. And Hickey holds it at the line. Wrist shot through traffic, got through, save made. Tavares couldn't get the rebound under control.
Yeah, terrific play by Christian Ehrhoff.
Poso to Tavares looking for Grabner. Didn't get there. Hickey, a weak backhander when it looked like Wisnowski was going to really lean into one on his forehand.
You know, interesting start to the period. First is the Sabres with a couple of opportunities, and then the Islanders come back with John Tavares' line.
Now Grabner to Hickey. He shoots. Miller the save. Left a small rebound that he gathers back in, and there's no further play.
Well, the goaltenders have been really good. Very quick on their feet. Great reads. Watch the block up again. Very aggressive and makes that save, aided by Travis Hamonic around the seam. Josh Bailey going to the middle. Takes a look. Has Ehrhoff just turned around a little bit, able to handle that puck and get it towards the net. Not clear enough to get a good, clean shot, but you make that quick turn. You look at the Ehrhoff. You see what he's doing, where he's looking, where his feet are, and you try to take advantage of his positioning. Nice move by Josh Bailey. Got a lot of good offensive hockey out here. Not a lot of good defensive hockey. The goaltenders have made the difference.
And a 2-2 game. 2 minutes gone of the third period. Fling up the left wing past the reach of Porter. He carries down for straight of the Islanders. Whirls it around the boards. Not out. Big Myers keeps it in. And that shot off the side of the net. Taken by Brett Flynn. Brian Flynn, pardon me. And Clutterbuck up for Molson. Slapped away by Talinder. And then sent right back into the Buffalo zone. Myers chased by Clutterbuck. And it's lifted out to center. The hit behind the play was Clutterbuck against Talinder. That's the thud you heard as that puck moved towards the Islander end of the ice.
Clutterbuck leads both teams in the physical department today.
Here's Ott pulling up in the Islander zone. Hits the trailer. Ristolainen's shot went wide. Curls to the near boards. Andrew MacDonald pestered there by Vanek, but Cizikas carries on with Oposo. Now Oposo pulls up, waits, shot it off the skate, gets it again, and then put it off the skate of Ristolainen. Weber in a little trouble. Checked by Martin. slipped to the front of the net and pushed away from there by Hodgson. And now the Sabres should come out. Weber, a long pass, goes off Vanek's stick and ends up in the Islander bench. 3:24 into this third period.
Another good forechecking system by the Islanders. They're able to get the puck in and be very physical. Kyle Okposo with an opportunity, but couldn't get it past the Buffalo Sabres skates. But there's good movement out there, Howie. They're passing, they're going, they're not standing around. They're trying to find the holes out there. The Sabres just haven't allowed them to get quite clear.
Pezic paired with Ehrhoff in the Buffalo zone. They play catch as Pezic flings it up the right wing and Foligno curls it in. Hickey takes it from the Buckeye. Thomas Hickey. Past Bouchard. Pezic chased by Franz Nielsen. And then Pezic slaps it back to Drew Stafford, number 21. Out come the Sabres. Down the middle, Foligno. And over the line. Takes it wide against Wisnowski. Comes around the boards. Missed by Pezic, but backed up by Ennis. 34-25 Islanders in shots. Stafford onside. Shoots Nabokov. Makes the save. Foligno in the corner. First against Wisnowski and then Nielsen. Bounces it back to the line. Ehrhoff's shot was slapped away by Hickey, and up comes Bouchard for New York with Bailey. Bouchard holds on. Looks for the trailer straight, but he missed it. And the Sabres unable to get an attack going initially, but now here's Stafford. But Larson offside. So 4:32 gone here in the third period.
Good pace out there, Howie. And
let's get the Tavares line out.
yeah, both teams looking for that breakaway pass. And Stafford had an opportunity. He cut into the middle. Ehrhoff tried to hit him, but again, Brian Strait was in good position to stop that particular play. But you know, when you just stay on the outside, you don't find the holes, you don't cut in front, you're not going to be able to get much done offensively.
Puck sent in. Tavares after it, but they blow the whistle for the icing.
Where was the race there? I guess Linder was a little bit ahead of John Tavares. He's shaking his head. He thought that he was at the dot, and that's the one faux pas and really in this type of situation. As you can see in the middle of your screen, there's Linder as he's heading towards the dot area. That puck is bouncing out, and that's pretty close. You can certainly, I guess, give him a little bit of an edge, but I hate that fact that you can't have that chase drill anymore.
Well, from the draw, the Islanders dump it in, and now there's a chase. It's Grabner against Myers, or was it a chase? That did not appear to be clear cut at the dots, did it? The whole point of hybrid icing is if the officials feel that the defender going back to touch up has enough space between he and the man pursuing him when they get to the dots.
Yeah, and is Michael Grabner going to be able to get there? Clearly, he's ahead. His stick's ahead.
Let's try to be a little further ahead than that.
Almost right off the face-off there with Vanek having an opportunity.
So now Tavares down the right wing. Grabner busting to the middle. Tavares shoots. The save made. Grabner couldn't get to the rebound as Pezic had a little piece of his stick. And then a big hit on Ott behind the play by Okposo, and Ott's hurt. He is very slow to get up.
And there's going to be a penalty, it looks like, on Kyle Okposo. Probably hitting from behind.
Well, that penalty was being called by the trail ref. The referee, Chris Lee, was back around the Islander blue line. That hit was made down in the corner in the Buffalo zone, and Okposo's trying to say, how can you make that call from back there?
Yeah, he's definitely pleading his case. He's not going to win. John Tavares did have a good opportunity to score, and Michael Grabner, inadvertently goes by the net. Had he stopped in front of the net, he would have an opportunity. There's Kyle Okposo.
And you saw the other referee, Francis Charon, number 6.
Kyle leaps up a little bit, and Ott turns his back to him, and that's almost always going to draw a 2-minute penalty.
The boarding penalty will send Buffalo to the power play. They got a goal from Vanek on the power play, which serves as, to this point, the game-tying goal. They're 1 for 3 with 5 shots.
It's always tough when you go into forecheck and the forward turns his back at the last second. Tough to change your momentum. Kyle Okposo gets caught.
So the Buffalo power play. Ehrhoff with a puck here. Myers, they're the point men. Hodgson is up front with Vanek. and Ennis. Islanders have McDonald and Hamonic back. Grabner and Nielsen the forwards. Grabner didn't clear the first time, nor the second, as the Sabres keep the pressure on him and keep the puck in the zone. Myers around towards Hodgson. That's broken up by Andrew McDonald. Gave it up, though, to Vanek. Sabres still can't gain enough control and space to stretch the power play out, and all of this taking valuable time off of their power play, and it's 20 to go. Now Hamonic with a chance to clear, and he fires it all the way down. See that puck bounce again.
The puck has been bouncing all night. It's the first game back, so I'm not sure if there was a concert or what the heck was in here. But the ice is certainly producing an awful lot of bounces. That puck. Maybe it's not frozen. The puck's supposed to be frozen, Howie. The Islanders have done a nice job of killing that penalty. I mean, you mentioned it, tying the puck up along the boards, keeping the Sabres pinned up against the boards.
Now they bring it in. Myers, a hard feed to Vanek. Quick shot is gobbled up by Nabokov.
A long-range shot for Thomas Vanek just inside the blue line. Nabokov with no problem with that, handling that. No traffic in front of him, an easy read for him. The Islanders haven't given the Sabres a whole lot of time putting the pressure on there. You see the shot by Vanek with Martin putting a little bit of pressure, but 30-foot wrist shot's not going to beat Nabokov, particularly when he's got a nice hard look at it.
So the draw deep in the Islanders zone. Ristolainen along the boards. Plays it across to Pezic. Stafford. Roy centers. Foligno missed. It's loose, and somehow Nabokov's able to keep it out with all that pressure placed upon him by several bodies leaning on him while he's trying to control the puck at the same time. 35 to go to the power play.
Yeah, Foligno tries to get that puck out front to Ott there, and there's an awful pile up in front of the net. Watch the Sabres move it around, up high, down low. There's the quick transition play down there to Foligno. He's looking in front to Ennis. And there's the quick shot, to Foligno in front of the net. Good save by Nabokov as he tries to knock that puck down, trying to corral that rebound. You can see him block it with his blocker, with Stafford all over him. Wild melee in front.
Nielsen will be thrown out of the faceoff, and Grabner will take it instead against Ott. Clean win for Ott. Back to the blue line to Pezic. Ristolainen. Half minute to the Buffalo power play. Around to Ott. He's the guy that was roughed up by Kyle Oposo on that boarding penalty that has Kyle in the box now for another 20 seconds.
Both Andrew McDonald and Travis Hamonic have been very physical in their own zone.
Ristolainen in, drops it off, and it's cleared by Grabner. Ristolainen should not be confused with former NHL defenseman Reijo Ruotsalainen in any way other than they're both Finnish. Tavares carries in short-handed. Nope, now the penalty's over. Tavares shot stopped, and the puck cleared off the boards. Not out. Carter fires. He missed the net. And a big carom around. Straight. Down low to Tavares. Win Molson. Now back to Carter with a little room. Straight pushes it towards the corner. Tavares has it there. Shoved by Ott. Tavares keeps it. He's bumped by Foligno. They've been going at it a couple of times in this game. And the crowd continues to voice its displeasure as Carter fires a save made. There's a penalty coming up here. And now you've got Oposo, Foligno, and others, and out by the blue line, Carter shoving a bit with Foligno.
Well, Ott was going to get the original penalty on John Tavares. I mean, he was trying to hog time. I'm not sure how many penalties Ott's going to get. Referee could call 3 different minors on him, Howie, but this game has all of a sudden got a lot more interesting, particularly with the physical play, the frustrations. You know that Buffalo's frustrated with them being at 0-6-1, and the Islanders looking to get off the snide themselves.
Well, we'll see how they hand out the penalties. 12-13 remain. Third period of a tie game.
Well, it's 2-2 here in the third period with about 12 minutes to go in the game. We talk about strength on the feet. Boy, John Tavares is hard to knock off, and he's tenacious as heck. Watch him go at it with Ott, though. There's an elbow first to Tavares' head, and then the takedown. John stays with it, and Ott says, no, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to hang on to you. Refusing to let Tavares get any kind of ground, and then John Tavares' teammates come to his rescue, but it'll be 4-2. In my opinion, Ott will get 4. Kyle Oposo will get 2 for coming to the aid of his teammate. It'll give Islanders a power play.
Well, Ott, as you saw, essentially jumped John Tavares, so you knew he was going to get an extra 2. And so the Islanders go to the power play here with Tavares, Molson, Bouchard, Wisnowski, and Nielsen. Nielsen to Tavares. He shoots, and that goes wide. Bouchard looking behind him. Sees Porter on his tail. And now Tallinder reverses the other way for Flynn. Softly and not out of the zone. But a chance for Tallinder to clear, and he does. And Buffalo will change the penalty killers. This New York Islanders power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Half minute gone. The man advantage, 11:40 remaining. Third period of a 2-2 game. Nielsen across to Molson. Now Wisnowski to Tavares. Nielsen to Tavares. Across to Bouchard. Centers from Molson. Ehrhoff went down to break it up. Tavares peels it back to the line. Wisnowski with room. Across. Tavares fires. He scores! That hits something or someone in front. It's a power play goal, and the Islanders take a 3-2 lead.
Well, it all starts off, Howie, with being able to come up the ice and get control. The Islanders have a nice break up the ice, good passing, good speed, and then they start to move the puck around. That puck does go off someone in front. There's Wisnowski. He's going to go across, and they just start moving around. John Tavares hits Matt Molson right in front of the net. It goes in off his leg. Well, that's where Matt Molson camps himself, and that's why he puts himself there, looking for the deflection, looking for the bounce off the leg. It all starts with that good entry for the Islanders, the good puck movement, and the willingness to shoot the puck. Matt Molson's laughing a little bit, no pain there. Much needed power play goal for the Islanders. Not about percentages, Howie, it's about when you score them, and that was a huge power play goal for the Isles.
Midway through the third period to give the Islanders their third one-goal lead of this game. It's 3-2 New York. Weber was backing Molson in right towards the goaltender, too. And a big hit behind the net. Clutterbuck was there with Martin, and they double-teamed Tallinder, who's pleading for a penalty. As the Sabres move it into the Islanders' zone, you've got to love the edge to this game. This hasn't been a game that's featured a
There's a penalty right there. That's going to be interference, so that's a retaliatory penalty by Tallinder on Clutterbuck. And that's what Clutterbuck does very well, is he gets under your skin, he plays physical.
And frankly, if you're Tallinder, you've got to be smarter than that.
Well, you really have to. He's a vet, Howie. You're absolutely right. He gets taken out. He didn't like the hit from behind the net. And now he's throwing a bit of attention down there. But Cal Clutterbuck sucked him right in. And there's Matt Martin. He was behind the net. It was a double whammy. Actually, Matt Martin put the harder lick on him. But there's the interference to Clutterbuck. No doubt about it. Good call by the referee. And now the Islanders really have a chance to put the nail in the coffin for the Buffalo Sabres.
And this Islander power play is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. So Martin and Clutterbuck setting a really physical tone. And, you know, here we are, 10:39 remaining in the third period. And this game, I think, by far has been the most physical, feisty, and at times, you know, angry game that we've seen among the first 6 this year.
Well, having those two guys in the lineup, I think is going to create an awful lot of physicality during the entire season.
Oh, Stafford short-handed here with Nielsen on him. Stafford either looking to rag the puck and kill some time or just throw the puck back and spread the power play out. Wisnowski went up the boards.
Hey, you need to finish your check in your own zone when you have a guy like Stafford just trying to rag it. Just take him out of the play.
Now the drop to Nielsen. The Islanders move it in. Nielsen surrounded, so he moves it quickly to Molson. A couple of high sticks were knocking around that puck as it winds up sent around the boards to Wisnowski at the blue line. And across to Nielsen. Steps up, shot it off the skate of Ehrhoff, and the Sabres clear. And at 9 to the power play, 9:46 to go, third period.
Second power play for the Islanders to come out, see if they have any luck.
Now McDonald, watched by Larson. McDonald, Hamonic, Bailey, Regan, and Morton. That second power play unit. Bailey for Regan. Carries behind the net. Saber missed a hit on him, but then the puck cleared all the way down by Meyer.
Regan has to move that puck a little quicker. The Sabres are on him fast. He's got 5-on-4. You got to use all your assets when you're out there.
Now McDonald to Regan on left wing. Hugs the boards. Ehrhoff tried to clear, couldn't. And then Martin sent down hard by Ehrhoff after Martin first had lost an edge, or so it appeared. And McDonald up to Bailey, 16 to the power play. Bailey into the zone. Moving wide. Traffic in front. Hamonic shoots. Miller came out to make the save.
Big save by Miller right in the slot area. Beautiful pass from Josh Bailey as Travis Hamonic moved in, had a real good look. Ryan Miller came out aggressively at the top of the circle. He's a big guy. He's not little in there. He's got good size, and he made himself even bigger when he came out of the net. Took away the shooting angle for Travis Hamonic.
Well,
Matt Martin falls. Yeah, again, Matt Martin's having a tough time. He's going to have to get that skate fixed. I believe that shot hit Casey Cizikas as he was in front of the net. But expect Matt Martin to go into the dressing room and maybe get that skate adjusted. He tripped him 2 or 3 times in the one shift.
Cizikas draws it back, and as the penalty expires, McDonald sends the puck in, and Tallinder comes out of the box. Islanders had one shot as the Sabres escape the penalty for Tallinder effectively as Clutterbuck shoots. A save made, effectively retaliating for a hit that he took in the defensive zone. And the Islanders keep it deep. Cizikas got it from Grabner. McDonald turns it around the boards. Cizikas was taken down as that puck comes right through the goal mouth. Pitched out by Tallinder. Hodgson in close quarters with Vanek. Cody Hodgson chops it into the corner. Vanek's there. He was knocked down. Ott against Hamonic. And Ott keeps it deep, and McDonald next to play it. Now Ott steps into a Poso. All of this taking time off the clock, working now to the Islanders' advantage. In comes a Poso. He shoots, save made. And the rebound up high in the zone. Vanek couldn't get out with it. And the Islanders keep it. Oposo was all alone in front. Tavares takes a shot. Miller grabs it right alongside the post. Well, 7:26 remain. Third period on the island. The Islanders regaining a 1-goal lead. Here's our Tri-Honda game recap to show you how the Islanders have built this 3-2 lead with 7:26 remaining in the third period. John Tavares has scored a point in every game except the opener. And then there's been the physical side of it, as well as Matt Martin producing a goal. Well, a quality night for Matt Martin, too, in what's been the most physical game the Islanders have played so far.
Well, they played with some desperation. We don't want to use that word when it's overly use it when you're early in the season, but it was an important game for him. Travis Hamonic talked about the importance of winning this first game of the homestand. So the Islanders really had their skating legs. They've been physical, particularly Martin and Clutterbuck.
Here's Stafford closing and shooting. Nabokov a pad save on a good low tricky shot that was headed towards that far corner.
Yeah, real quick release. Stafford coming down the wing. Just
how is that
icing? Yeah, look at that again. John Tavares not sure what that is, and the fans don't like it. So a lot to be said about the hybrid icing tonight. There's been a lot of close calls, a lot of questionable calls, but you know, to get back to that save off of Stafford, Matt Moulson just chipping that down, and it's icing now.
But they called that before the goal line.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, they did, and that to me that was a tie, and that was no reason to call that icing.
Coming up, the Foxwoods Final Five. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. McDonald back, put it to the front of the net.
Andrew McDonald leading that rush. You don't want to chip it out blind like he did. He made a great effort to get all the way up the ice and keep the puck in play, but then to throw it back out in front of the net with no one around. Now you got to go 200 feet to get back into your own zone. Andrew McDonald would have been better off just to eat it in the corner.
Porter threw it to the front of the net, looking for Larson cruising that way. And the Sabres back in as Bouchard turned it over under some pressure. Larson checked by McDonald. 6:17 remaining in the third period. Flynn behind the net. Tried to put a head fake on straight. Instead swings it the other way, and Ehrhoff moves up. Ehrhoff floats one that went past Nabokov all the way to the corner. Straight take it into the boards there by Larson. Hey, watching this puck bounce the way it has tonight, it's kind of like trying to eat soup with a fork, trying to corral the puck.
I like to say playing hockey with a broom. It's really hard to stick handle or get anything on it.
5:42 remaining in the third period. Weber, here's Clutterbuck coming.
Well, the Islanders should be getting into a chip and chase game unless they have a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1. You want to keep that puck ahead of you. You're down with just about 5 minutes to go in the game, Howie. You really can't afford any kind of turnovers at either blue line.
So here's Hodgson. Now for Ott. Checked by Wisnowski. He gets rid of it and clips the linesman Tim Nowak. Grabner across the Buffalo line for Tavares. Against to Linder. And now the Sabres go the other way. Hodgson feeds Vanek on left wing. Couldn't get that pass across. Oposo wheels it to Grabner. Hamonic going to the net. Grabner shoots. The save made by Miller. And Travis Hamonic activating there, as the coaches say. But man, he has been as aggressive in this game, I think, as we've ever seen him. 4:52 to go in the third. Islanders looking to protect or extend this 3-2 lead with 4:52 remaining in the third. And after it's over, you can get reaction from Jack Capuano and the players, plus highlights and analysis on the Islanders postgame, presented by A&A immediately following the action.
Well, the coach wanted shots tonight. He talked about not getting enough shots over the weekend. Well, 42 is up on the board with just a little under 5 minutes, so they're certainly getting the puck going towards the net.
And you're watching the Foxwoods Final Five. Foxwoods, your destination for endless excitement. Visit foxwoods.com now. Grabner across. Oposo shot gloved down by the defenseman Pezic.
You see him choke up on that stick, Howie. Couldn't quite get a full shot away, so he choked up on a stick to change the angle because the puck was in tight to him. A lot of creativity by Kyle Oposo trying to get a shot away.
Felix Mian on skates.
Yeah, he had to shorten up on it because it was in tight on him. That's the only way he could get a stick on it. Anything to get a shot on net or anything to score a goal, you find a way, and Kyle Oposo was looking for that.
So it's Nielsen, Bouchard, and Bailey with Straight and Kartner for the Islanders. Foligno, Stafford, Ennis with Pezic and Ehrhoff the defense. Bailey throws it in, cut off by Ryan Miller. 4:15 to go in the third. Pass to Stafford on right wing. That might have clipped the linesman as well, Jay Sharers. And up comes Nielsen. Moving to the Buffalo line, he tucks it in.
Chip and chase, Howie. Chip and chase.
And back the other way start the Sabres. Porter in on right wing, but Larson was knocked down by Thomas Hickey, and that forced the play offside with 3:50 remaining in the third period. So the Islanders in their safe game mode, and conversely, you would imagine the Sabres, who are so offensively challenged to begin with, to really take some chances now.
Well, you would expect the defense to jump up on the play. Myers loves to do it. So does Christian Ehrhoff.
Ristolainen offed it up. Islanders send it back in. Ristolainen back. A step into Molson. Clutterbuck hits Larson rather hard, knocking him down. And now Weber up to the blue line. Porter chips it in deep, and he'll head to the bench on a change. 3:25 to go in the third. Ristolainen at the Buffalo blue line. Islanders chop it back out. And Bailey lost it at the Buffalo line. Tags back up. Zika sent it in deep.
Well, we'll watch the Islanders gap at the blue lines, not allowing the Buffalo Sabres to carry the puck in if they can control those gaps.
Hamonic right at the Islander line to work it ahead. There's the send in by Martin. Now Cizikas goes to work. Ehrhoff chased by Martin. And it's Ott. All the way across. That went off Bailey's skate. Ott recovers. Bailey gets it again. 2:39 to go in the third. About a minute and 20 or so from now, you'd expect Miller to make a move out of the Buffalo goal unless something changes between now and then.
Good job by the Islanders to control the blue line and chip the puck in.
Ott works it deep, but Straight's back to get it. Watched by Ennis. Straight doesn't clear. Kept in by Tallinder. And now Tallinder again for Tyler Ennis. Launches one that's deflected out of play with 2:08 remaining in the third period. Remember, Ron Ralston used his timeout earlier tonight, so he does not have one on the Buffalo bench. Jack Capuano, should he choose to, still has his.
And you wonder now if you regretted that moment of using your timeout just to give your team a rest. Faceoffs become important.
And the Islanders win this one, but they don't clear. Myers kept it in. Foligno shoots. He scores. It looked like Nabokov was screened. Marcus Foligno has tied it for Buffalo 3-3 with 2:01 remaining in the third period.
Yeah, Islanders controlled the draw, had perfect control. John Tavares winning the faceoff, and the Islanders do not get the puck out on their clearing attempt as it's whacked in from the blue line. Watch Tavares. He wins the draw. And there's Carter just trying to drift it. Straight trying to just drift it out, and he just fails to get down. You've got to be sure 100%. And Nabokov is backed in on his crease area trying to find the puck because it's partially screened, but Ryan Straight has to do a much better job on that clearing play. They had lots of time.
So a 3-3 game with 1:53 to go in the third. Josh Bailey in behind the net against Tallinder. 3 times the Islanders have led. 3 times the Sabres have come back to tie. With 1:40 to go in the third. Josh Bailey into the corner to Bouchard. Up the boards. Feeds Wisnowski. Thought about a shot. Now moves up. Can't get it off. Instead throws one down low. And it's cleared out of the zone. Stafford racing with Wisnowski, who gets to it first. Stafford keeps the pressure on. And Nabokov's got to do some house cleaning. And it's 17 to go in the third. That went off an Islander glove right by the bench area with 1:14 to go.
A nice job of checking by Stafford. Just wouldn't give Wisnowski any time to get his head up and make any kind of a play as he chased him all the way back into his own zone. That's terrific tenacity by the Buffalo Sabre.
Marcus Foligno's first of the year from Myers at 17:59, the tying goal.
That's a couple of crazy bounces that have come Nabokov's way and resulted in goals. We talked about Nabokov getting out to the top of his crease, how he just wasn't established any kind of position, couldn't find the puck, and was backing a little further than normal.
And they'll have to face off again. The Islanders with Regan, Martin, and Clutterbuck. McDonald and Hamonic the defense. Buffalo with Larson, Ennis, Porter, Pezic and Ehrhoff. Pezic up for Flynn now with 1 minute remaining in regulation time. Hamonic's pass for Regan shut off by the Sabres. 50 seconds remaining in the third period. Regan checking for blood over on the Islander bench.
Clutterbuck's stick came up when he cleared the puck in deep. Caught his teammate Regan in the face with his stick.
Long pass to Nielsen, a shade too far. And now McDonald back in the Islanders zone to Hamonic.
Buffalo playing for the tie right now. Looking for 1 point.
Bouchard with 25 to go in regulation. Put it into the corner. Nielsen steps into Tallinder. 3-on-2 Buffalo behind the net. And now with 10 seconds remaining in the third, the Sabres just trying to protect that first point, but Ott doesn't clear. So Hickey bumped off the puck with 2 to go, throws it right through the slot, and this will go to overtime. Well, the Islanders have a chance to get what they wanted tonight, which is 2 points. They already have 1, as do the Sabres. But the frustrating part for the Islanders is that 3 times they've led by a goal, and 3 times the Sabres, who have now scored more goals in a game than they have in any of their previous 7 this year. Well, 3 times they've come back. So 3-3 as overtime looms.
New York Islanders Overtime is presented to you commercial-free by New York Life Insurance Company. Keep good going.
Well, we're getting set for overtime with the score tied 3-3 as the Islanders were in a 2-2 tie when this period started, Butch.
The Islanders on their power play, a timely power play. Good play by Bouchard, and he just kept moving it around. Tavares over to Wisniewski, backward Tavares for the one-timer, and Matt Moulson in front of the net goes in off of him, which is where he usually parks himself in that crease looking for a deflection or a screen shot. But you know what? Islanders have an opportunity to clear the puck. Brian Spate doesn't get it out, and Foligno just throws it towards the net, and it just bounces in off Nabokov. It's a bit of a screen shot.
So 4-on-4 in overtime. The Buffalo Sabres have not won a game yet. This is their 8th game this year. They have only their 2nd point now. And the Islanders have Wisniewski and Hickey back with Nielsen and Grabner up front. Pezic and Ehrhoff, Ennis and Foligno for Buffalo. In overtime, it's Ennis moving to center. Ennis into the Islanders zone against Wisniewski. Another wobbly puck, but Wisniewski peels it back to Hickey behind the Islander net. So now Hickey slowly out of his own zone. Buffalo changing. Hickey to Nielsen. He didn't hold it. And Pezic recovers. 42-32 Islanders in shots, but the game is even. Ehrhoff, good rush in over the line. Quick shot gobbled up by Hickey's stick, and ricochets out of play. Remember, we told you before, Peter Regan was looking for some blood when he was on his way to the Islander bench, and here's why.
Well, watch Clutterbuck's stick as it comes up and just catches him. Looks like around the top of the eye area. You can see the reaction from Regan right away. Clutterbuck just trying to dump the puck in and then change.
So Ott and Tavares draw. Clean win for Ott. Down the boards. For Buffalo comes the defenseman to Leaner, but he gave it up, and so Ott, the forward, is defending. Tavares played it to that side, but there's Ott to break it up, and he banks one ahead too far for Stafford. And Nabokov had to move it. He was hoping to get an icing, but now it's Hamonic on the rush again as he's been all night. Going wide, feeds Tavares. He redirected it, gets it again. Tavares in a lot of traffic, keeps the puck, sets up Bouchard. The puck continues to bounce. Bouchard to McDonald. Out to Bouchard. The air mark Bouchard along the line. Soft pass down low. Batted away and out of the zone. And Tavares comes back to get it with the Sabres changing. Tavares brings it in. He's surrounded. He doesn't care. Leaves it for Hickey. Now Hickey makes his move. Remember, he had an overtime winner last year in Montreal. And the Sabres unable to get out. Oposo puts it back to the boards. There's Hickey again. Throws one down low. Tavares couldn't reach it. Stafford looks pooped, but he's able to get to the puck. Gets it to the Islander line. Stafford hits the trailer just onside. Pezic tried to feed it down low. Oposo blocked it. Sabres keep it deep. Pezic now. Stafford does get to the Buffalo bench. Pezic feeds the blue line. Missed there by Ehrhoff with 2:47 to go in overtime.
John Tavares was pooped also. He was looking for an opportunity to get off the ice. It was a long shift for him.
And now Christian Ehrhoff up to Hodgson. The Islander line throws one at Nabokov. He steers it away. Recovered by Vanek. Now it's Wisniewski up for Bailey, and out come the Islanders in overtime. Bailey with Oposo. Swings it to the right wing. Oposo grabs it off the boards. Throws it right through the goal crease. Big Karam straight fires, and it's gloved and held by Miller. And there'll be a face-off in the Buffalo zone. 2:18 remaining in overtime.
Lots of offense in this 4-on-4 situation. Obviously more ice. Kyle Oposo taking the puck wide, trying to throw it across, looking for Bailey, and Ryan Straight just turns around and fires a shot at Miller, hoping that maybe one of his Islander teammates is cutting across. Possible rebound or deflection. Both goaltenders have been very good tonight.
Off the draw, Cizikas trying to get forward with it, can't. And now Tallinder for Buffalo. Finds Ennis on left wing. Tyler Ennis makes his way into the Islanders zone. Sets up Foligno, slapped away. Sabres recover. Tallinder right at the line, under pressure, gives it away. Moulson with Cizikas, sends Casey in. Pulls up along the boards now against Myers. McDonald all alone in front, backhands, saved by Miller. It's still loose in front, still loose. They whack away at it. McDonald, who had a golden opportunity, gets it back under control. Then he's walloped by Myers. The puck fed back to Hamonic. He shoots, and that changes direction. Myers sent for a spill. He's down in the Buffalo zone as Foligno plays the puck. Minute and a half to go in overtime. Islanders changing. Foligno trying to get there. Does. Fires! And a blocker save by Nabokov. Foligno trying to catch the Islanders on the change. But there's not as much left in the tank this late in the game. A minute 19 and remaining in overtime. And it's Ehrhoff in the Sabres zone. Winds it away from Grabner. Puck continues to wobble. Taken there by Pezic. Up now for Stafford. A touch too far. So Hickey next to play it for New York. Around to Wisnowski. Up for Nielsen. Backhands for Grabner, but he can't reach it. We're into the final minute of overtime.
They almost tipped it by Ehrhoff, who was standing up in the neutral zone.
And now Stafford works against Hickey. Through Stafford, going into the net. A poke check by Nabokov, a loose puck, and he gathers it back in. Boy, Stafford was only too happy to try and go one-on-one with Thomas Hickey there, but Nabokov helped out.
Well, Stafford using his size and his strength. Watch him pull the puck and then lean in on Thomas Hickey, but Hickey hangs in there, battles him, and Nabokov helps him out a little bit. Boy, Andrew McDonald maybe had the best chance of this overtime to score a goal, along with Cizikas. Watch the play between the two of them. Good play by Matt Wilson. Crazy bounce, and what a save by Ryan Miller, robbing Andrew McDonald. Needed to get that up over the pad, Howie. He had time.
Here's Oposo driving, circles the net, put it towards the side of the net, and Miller had his stick there. Tolinder gets away from some traffic, but he gave it away to Oposo with Tavares. Oposo shoots, and a save by Miller with 25.3 to go in overtime.
Yeah, tremendous forechecking by Kyle Oposo. Knocks down that pass of Myers. Watch Kyle Oposo going wide, hangs on, tries to stuff it, a little more room behind that net than normal, and then Kyle Oposo causes a turnover, lets that wrist shot go, but look at Ryan Miller, how far out he is, makes himself look even bigger. No chance for Kyle Oposo to score from there.
Sabres control the draw. Stafford waits along the boards with 20 to go in overtime. Flings one ahead for Foligno. Marcus Foligno takes the hit, a pretty good one from McDonald. Throws it back to the blue line. Tavares chips it ahead. Ehrhoff throws it back in. 6 seconds to go. Hamonic batted it out. One last chance for Foligno to Stafford. He doesn't get the shot through. And this one will go to a shootout.
Well, you get down those last couple of seconds, you might as well tackle someone because there's not going to be a power play. That is for certain. But Andrew McDonald does get his stick on that Stafford last-second opportunity. Well, it was an entertaining overtime, Howie. Both teams with some chances. Tremendous skating. The Islanders skated really well in tonight's game for all 3 periods, and even in the 5-minute overtime session, something that they were missing up in Chicago and Nashville. So you can't complain about the effort in tonight's game. They were strong the entire game.
And it had its feisty, if not just angry moments, which was a lot of fun, too, because it had an edge to it. And now...
Well, I call that intensity. There's some intensity out there. The Sabres a little embarrassed with their start. And, of course, the Islanders wanting to establish some kind of home ice presence. So you're going to get a little banging here.
Well, now the lineups will be filled out. Jack Capuano's made up his mind. Ron Ralston his. The shootout coming up in a moment. So as they resurface the area where players will be challenging goaltenders in the shootout, little time now for everybody on the bench to catch their breath as presumably both lineup sheets have been turned in. Matt Molson's succeeded twice in the shootout this year. It'll be Molson, Nielsen, and Tavares for the Islanders. Not sure if we'll be able to find the Buffalo sheet, but either way, you would imagine Thomas Vanek will be in there. Just a guess.
I would think that Stafford and Ennis would probably be at the top of my list. Not sure where the rookies fare in this particular situation. I haven't seen enough of them to know whether they're skilled enough to be although they're first-round picks, some of them, so possibly Hodgson, number 19, is the guy.
Well, the Sabres have to feel like they've already accomplished something, considering they trailed 3 times tonight and have come back just to get the point. And whether or not they get the second one now is going to depend on how the shootout goes. But after it's over, you'll get reaction from that man right there. Islanders coach Jack Capuano as well as the players, plus highlights and analysis on the Islanders postgame presented by ANA immediately following the action.
Well, I would think that Ron Rolson would be happy with his team, with their performance. They've skated well. They've had some very good moments. Scored a goal on the power play, and they've battled. They've got good goaltending. Ryan Miller has given his team an opportunity to get into this shootout. But, you know, they're just looking for something to latch onto to continue on with their season. They realize they're in somewhat of a rebuilding mode. An awful lot of young guys. You mentioned Howie, a lot of first rounders. So you're just trying to get really the thought across that no matter what the score is, no matter what your talent level is, you've got to come prepared and you've got to work hard. So from that aspect, I think the Buffalo Sabres have been spot on.
Pretty interesting. John Tavares taking a real good look at the ice after the resurfacing, and you know, we've mentioned from the very beginning tonight that the puck seemed to be bouncing and wobbling even more than it normally does here. But
now you worry about it, especially if you're thinking about Deacon. You know, the puck bounces on you when your Deacon is take it to your backhand or your forehand. You really can't finish off where you want to get that puck where you know you think it can get into the net. You know, if you're a shooter now, you're going down and you can usually control it because there's not as much movement. You're not going from side to side with the puck. Now, we know Matt Moulson hasn't shown us a lot with any of his deking ability. More of a shooter on these shootouts. He's been 2 for 2, but very good.
There's still an ice issue here.
Yep. John Tavares, I guess, has spotted something out there that he's not happy with.
Well, he's as aware as all the players are of how difficult it's been to deal with the puck on this surface tonight. Now, it's warmer outside than you might expect this time of year, but not by that much. It's not like it's 85 degrees. I don't think that's going to have all that much of an effect. Of course, it's an old building. You're dealing with issues here that might not be as prevalent in some of the newer ones, but for the time being, even Ryan Miller, the Buffalo goaltender, wants...
Well, he'd like a lot of water out there because when it's wet out there, Howie, the puck sticks. So he's all for that. Wet it down, make sure it doesn't dry, and have those guys come down, and it'd be like right onto that commercial where the puck doesn't go anywhere, it just stops.
I think, you know, one thing that's interesting about this shootout before it even starts is you see that guy with 51 on his helmet? He's going to be in the shootout, but he's not batting leadoff tonight. And usually,
well, he
because
struggled.
of the prior prominence of Frans Nielsen in shootouts, Jack Capuano has used him to get the jump right away. Tonight, he's the second one.
Well, Franz reminded me, I asked him what was going on with the shootout. He said, I haven't scored since you isolated me and told everybody what I do. And he's struggled with that area. He's made some good moves, and it hasn't been the moves that prevented him from scoring. The puck has either been bouncing on him or he's flipped it over the net. But it was interesting that he reminded me.
Well, it's always our fault up here.
Well, not always.
Depends who you talk to, I guess. But they appear to have the ice in satisfactory condition to get this thing going. So Tavares on the left, Moulson on the right. They will be third and second in that order. And there's your new leadoff hitter, Matt Moulson, who's been a force in the shootout so far this year.
Number 26, Matt Moulson.
So Moulson trying to get it started. Better than 50%. Cruising in on Miller, and he scores.
Ryan Miller thought he had him. Matt Moulson came in slow to start off with, and then the quick stick handle. Look at that bang, and it just went over the pad, just over the right pad in between the blocker, and that's Matt Moulson. Likes to go stick side. He feels that that's the weakness for left-handed goaltenders. Matt Moulson gives the Islanders the 1-0 lead.
Here's Vanek, as skilled as he is, not nearly as efficient as Moulson's been, at least in terms of percentage.
Right-hand shot, like to go high glove normally, the right-handers.
Weaving on the Bakov, he scores, as you called it.
Yeah, they like to go high glove. It's an angle that they can get to. They're facing that glove, and tremendous wrist shot, just a flick of the wrist. Sabres have tied it up 1-1.
Well, here's Nielsen. He has missed with a backhand. He has missed on his forehand in the shootouts, but still brilliant career numbers, as you see. Miller knows what's in Nielsen's bag of tricks.
Well, we'll see if he's got a new move. He's got two pretty good moves. See if he's got a third one.
Nielsen moving in with speed, and Miller stopped him.
Now he wanted to go 5-hole and got it up too high, got it up around the knees. Had Miller moving back. Franz's got his head up all the way. And if he hits his hole, it goes in, but he got it up around the knee areas too high.
So the pressure for now on Nabokov as Tyler Ennis will be Buffalo's shooter. He's taking a little extra time here.
Getting the go-ahead from the bench.
And here comes Ennis. And he scores. So the Sabres now have the advantage, and it's up to John Tavares to keep this game going.
Good quick release by Tyler Ennis. Got his head up all the way and just takes it over to his forehand, just waiting for Nabokov to back up enough for him to feel secure in what he wanted to do, and a quick wrist shot on that stick side up over the pad, much like Matt Molson scored on Ryan Miller.
Now John Tavares will try and keep it going. And here he comes. Tavares moving in, shooting. Miller the save, and the Buffalo Sabres have their first win of the year. It comes in a shootout, but they earned it. They trailed 3 times in this game, came back to tie it each time, and they win the shootout 2-1. The Buffalo Sabres credited with a 4-3 victory over the New York Islanders.
John Tavares coming from his left side, little change, and tries again to go 5-hole, drop it down in between the pads, but Ryan Miller drops his left pad quickly, reads it all the way. Watch the left pad go down and outguesses John Tavares, and it's a hard-fought, well-earned win for the Buffalo Sabres. You're right, Howie. They never gave up. They trailed every inch of the way, and this is the first time they've led in the entire season, and it was in a shootout win. So perhaps it'll jumpstart their season because it's been abysmal up to this point in time. For the Islanders, it'll be another disappointing loss because this is the second time that they've lost a game in a shootout that they led in the third period.
Well, they get a point out of it. It will go into their mouths as an unsatisfactory tasting point. And we'll talk about the whys on the ANA postgame, which is coming right up. But in a shootout, the final score tonight at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum is the Buffalo Sabres 4 and the New York Islanders 3. We'll hear from Jack Capuano. The players look back at all the highlights on the ANA postgame coming up right after this.